Today is January 20th, 2026, and this new year commemorates 1 decade since 2016. For many people, including me, that feels pretty significant. I've seen throwback videos and nostalgic posts that have felt unreal, being reminded of how different we and the world were back in 2016. There's a widely shared sentiment, especially among millennials and Gen Z, that 2016 remains one of the most memorable and special years of their lives. The consistency of that claim is really interesting to me. What was in the air that an entire generation had a shared experience of bliss during this time? Allegedly, that is. Well, I can only speak from my own experience, and I'm sure others carry different reasons for holding on to that year so dearly. Still, there are common threads to be traced. For much of Gen Z, 2016 landed squarely in our late teen high school years. I'll posit that this period was marked by heightened emotional awareness and volatility. At that stage, experiences tend to register more deeply. In other words, our capacity to feel things was probably at its peak in those years. Because of this, it isn't just 2016 that stands out for me, but a span from 2016 to 2018. Those years felt like a threshold of consciousness, when I began becoming much more the person that I am today. It was during that time that things entered my life and stayed. Habits, tastes, influences that would carry forward for the next decade. The most significant of those was music. The state of popular music in 2016 was very strong. The industry was producing a concentrated run of influential releases that have remained definitional for many in this past 10 years. And I was encountering them with fresh ears. Today, my Spotify library contains nearly 16,000 saved songs. In 2016, I doubt it had more than 300. Albums like Coloring Book by Chance the Rapper and 99.9% by Kaytranada weren't just amazing records, they also got to be my early moments of musical discovery. I was forming my own taste at the same time many artists were releasing career-defining work. What a time. That period delivered Flower Boy by Tyler the Creator, Freudian by Daniel Caesar, Views by Drake, Starboy by The Weeknd, Control by SZA, Drunk by Thundercat, Funkwave Bounces by Calvin Harris, Blonde by Frank Ocean, Culture by Migos, A Seat at the Table by Solange, and the list goes on. These releases defined an era and influenced the era to come, and we were in a uniquely sponge-like state to absorb and feel them. I remember listening to Pimp a Butterfly for the first time, and shortly after having a creative crisis, wondering how anyone gets to a place where they can make art that rich. Hip-hop and trap were also in a unique position. Songs like Hotline Bling, Low Life, Broccoli, Jumpman, Congratulations, and Bryson Tiller's first records weren't just rap hits. They marked the moment rap fully crossed into pop. 2016 was when hip-hop stopped knocking on the door of the mainstream and became the mainstream. The broader cultural landscape felt different as well. 2016 fashion is one of the more obvious, poorly aged, yet definitional aspects of the culture back then. Most of us were just beginning to develop our style, and I'd be confident in saying that what was popular probably had a disproportionate influence on us. The cultural influence was so potent. Kanye West's The Life of Pablo dropped in 2016, and it came with merch and an aesthetic that permanently stamped itself in America's cultural memory. Yeezys or Vans, bright colors with skinny jeans, not only normal, but cool. What a time. YouTube played a central role as well. With Vine having recently shut down, many of the creators we loved transitioned into long-form content. Daily vlogging, gaming, reaction videos, prank channels. This was all shortly before algorithmic optimization and short-form platforms reshaped the entire online content ecosystem, making it feel like the golden era for many of these things as well. Everyone's experience of 2016 is different, and nostalgia will almost always reframe the past. Still, I think there's enough reason for me to say it's clear why so many millennials and Gen Z continue to esteem that year with such a sense of significance. It was an incredibly culturally dense year. with a constant sense of unified cultural participation, music, trends, fashion, memes, YouTube, movies, TV shows, all of that joined with a life stage defined by little to no responsibility, hyperactive social circles, and at a time where we started to be able to define who we wanted to be, when some of the best art was just what was new. With sunny LA as a cultural focal point, all of these things together, and you get what 2016 was like for Gen Z.